obviously my parents are my biggest cheerleaders. And again, like I said in the beginning, seeing them getting up every day, working hard is like that's what gave me the work ethic and the grit that I have.
Hello, hello. Ginny Bolling here with the Pivotal REI channel, the Pivotal Real Estate Investments podcast. And I have with me Scott DiGuglielmo.
Thank you.
All right. With NAI Burns Scalo in Pittsburgh, PA. And that's one of my favorite states. I meant to tell you that, but you guys have not only great history of industry, and I love industry, US history too. And
Sure.
pretty terrain, lots of cool stuff about PA.
Yeah,
So,
it's amazing whenever people come here for the first time, they say, "Oh, Pittsburgh's really green." It's like, yeah, we're not quite the Rust Belt anymore. Yeah, it's beautiful here. It really is.
yeah. Well, terrific. I'm going to read your bio and then you can
Sure.
tell us what you didn't update yet or whatever.
All right, sounds good.
All right. So, Scott is an SIOR, an executive vice president of brokerage at NAI Burns Scalo, a nationally recognized commercial real estate services company. As a key member of the brokerage team, Scott advises clients throughout the region on real estate strategies to help them activate their corporate objectives. You actually go by your last name the most, huh?
Um,
It says Digliamo. It doesn't say
well, that's
Scott.
just that's they wrote this for me, so
Oh, okay.
you
I'm
can
going to
stick
call
with
you
Scott.
Scott.
Yeah, that works. I think that'll be easiest for everyone.
Scott has become a go-to expert for executives evaluating all types of real estate opportunities and challenges. In his career, he has served as a key role in more than 5 million square feet of successful commercial transactions, both on a local and national basis, with a focus on office product. He accomplishes this by leveraging NAI Burns Scalo's market share, industry relationships, and integration of services to provide comprehensive real estate solutions for his clients. Since joining NAI Burns Scalo, Scott has become a very involved member of the Pittsburgh commercial real estate industry. Born and raised just south of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and a West Virginia University graduate, Scott is active and in professional and community charitable organizations. He currently acts as an influential member of the Society of Industrial and Office Realtors, which is SIOR, the National Association of Industrial and Office Properties, NAIOP, and the Pittsburgh chapter by holding a position on the NIOP National Forum. He's also, I'm going to add, a very active part of the Junior Achievement Program, which is always a good thing to have our people in
Sure.
business communicating and influencing our young. So
Yeah.
thank you and welcome. You've
Yeah.
got a good background. And on your bio, you've got some really cool transactions too, right? So why don't you tell us what else we should know about you and some of those transactions?
Oh my gosh. I think it really starts from the beginning and getting into real estate because I think a big question is how did you get into commercial real estate? And I think that's someone always asks. And my background's a little bit different. I came from a family that owned grocery stores, family-owned business, and started working there at a probably an unethical young age, working for the family, but loved every day of it. And it was really cool waking up every day, seeing mom and dad go to work and understanding what they do. And I think it's important for everyone to see that, especially as a child. And as you grow and develop, that's where you really get your work ethic from. And anyways, growing older, worked in the business my entire life through school. The grocery industry started to change a little bit. You start seeing Walmarts and Targets and everything else come up. It's not just the local grocery store anymore. So my destiny was to get into the grocery business. And my dad said, when I'm in college, he said, I think you should probably look at a different industry. And I said, oh, well, this is really all I know. Um, what do I do? So during college, there was this beautiful resort near West Virginia University called Nemacolin in the Woodlands. It was actually featured on I think it was The Bachelor, The Bachelorette. There's been PGA golf outings there. It's unbelievable, remarkable. Um, anyways, I started working there and worked in the restaurant, so I kind of got to get in the hospitality industry, and I really enjoyed it. It was really good. And I worked there for 4 years and I met a ton of people while working there. And throughout the years, there was this one family that I got to be really close with. And they always said, hey, whenever you graduate school, give us a call and I'd like you to teach you commercial real estate. And I said, well, okay, that sounds good. I didn't really know what that meant, but they obviously were at this resort every other weekend, so they were probably doing okay, and maybe that's something I wanted to get into. So I never really expected them to call me. And after graduation, I thought it'd be a good idea to move out to Park City, Utah with some friends and just be a ski bum for a winter and work in a restaurant, and we'll just do that. So about 2 weeks before I was moving out to Utah, the gentleman called me and he said, "Hey, you had to have graduated. Let's get to work." He said, "I have a house in Florida. I want you to move down there with me and my family, and I'll teach you commercial real estate." And I said, "Well, okay, I got to think about this." So long story short, I thought about it for about 5 minutes and I said, "That sounds like a good idea." So I scrapped the plans to go to Utah, hop on a plane, went to Florida. So I ended up moving to Florida for fast forward. I was there for about 6 years. The first day, whenever I met him, he says, "I just want to let you know you're about to get your master's education and I'm going to change your life." And I said, "I don't really know what that means, but okay, let's see what happens." So, what he meant by that was he was about to give me an education on what commercial real estate is, working directly with the owner and CEO of this development company. And not only was I just going to work for him, I was living with his family. So I was with him 24/7. I mean, I understood, everything that, all the ins and outs. And long story short, I don't want to just ramble on, but it was a great experience. And he exposed me to doing deals all over the country, and it was fabulous. And fast forward a little bit, he ended up having a kid later on in life and wanted to retire and wanted to raise his daughter in Ohio. So I said, "That's great. I'll live down here. I'll keep the company going. Have a good time in Ohio." He says, "Well, no, you're coming to Ohio with me." I said, "Oh, okay." So I wasn't too sure how I felt about that. So, anyways, I ended up moving to Pittsburgh and commuting to Ohio every day for about a year, and that was pretty short-lived. And I said, "Hey, this was a great experience. I can't thank you enough. Thank you for everything you taught me." And we were doing shopping center deals and retail deals all over the country, Walgreens, CVS's, site selection, and really got to understand the business from the ground up, from finding the sites to developing the sites to construction to leasing, financing, you name it. And it was really good. It was a great experience, but I really needed something that had structure. I had a great foundation working for this company, but I knew that there was more, and I knew I needed to be in a big city and within a full organization. So that's whenever I decided to look for a job in Pittsburgh. And I'm thinking to myself, this will be easy. I have 7 years, 6, 7 years of experience. This won't be a problem. So I sent my resumes out and I got zero calls. So living off of savings, but with a lot of experience, I started knocking on doors. And again, to keep it short, I got a hold of a company by the name of Burn Scalo. And Jim Scalo, the CEO, emailed me back right away after my resume dropped in his hands. And he called me in the next day. And after a 3 hour long interview, he hired me on the spot. And Jim's really the one that gave me the opportunity to grow into what I've become today. Has given me all the opportunities to the deals that I've been a part of. Gave me the opportunity to be a part of the company's growth. I was the 24th employee, 24th, 25th. We're at over 125 now. And we worked really hard to get there. I was very, very fortunate that he was my mentor and still is, and took me under his wing. And I got to spend an incredible amount of time with Jim, no different than I did with my old boss. And I kind of parlayed what it took to work that close to your superiors, to try to leverage whatever we could, and not just for my personal benefit, but to leverage something and build a company and an organization together and grow it into something fabulous. And alongside Jim is our team, our CFO Lindsay and our COO Christy, and now we have a president Brian, and so many others that I could go on and on. Have really built an incredible company today. Now we have offices, throughout the country, and it's been a really good experience. So that's the roller coaster ride of how I got into commercial real estate. And things just happen once you're in it. I've been here for over 10 years, and we've done some incredible deals that you've been referring to, some of the largest in the state of Pennsylvania, honestly.
What's your favorite one? What's your favorite story?
My favorite story, this is certainly an easy one. Meanwhile, I will say, whenever I interviewed for this position, I might have said I leased office space, but I never leased an office space in my entire life. I knew I just needed a job. I but I knew how to. It couldn't be that hard. But I worked really hard to
It's
in
very
the
similar to
past.
retail, right?
It's very similar. It's all the same. You just switching out the tenant. So my favorite was, there was a company that I built a relationship with. They were about 6 people at the time, and they were on some rapid growth plans, and we were able to do a fairly large deal for the first deal, which was about 20,000 square feet. And that was my biggest win to date. And that was the second year I was in the business, well, here with Burns Scalo. And shortly after, they added another 6,000 feet, then another 10,000 feet. And over the course of a year, we leased over 120,000 feet within the portfolio that we were leasing. And that sprawled into doing a corporate headquarters deal for this company, taking them from about 10 people to about 1,600 people,
Oh,
and jobs in the region, which was a 216,000 square foot corporate headquarters deal here in Western PA. So that was certainly the most memorable, just being that I was there starting with them ground one, and the company's still thriving today. And that's been amazing.
can you say who it is? I was looking at your list of.
Sure. The company was formerly known as Careform, and they were bought by a acquisition. The company is now known as Connective RX.
Connective RX. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're doing
They're
pharmaceutical,
in
I
the
guess.
healthcare technology industry.
All
Yeah.
right. Wow. Well,
So yeah,
congratulations.
that was a really fun one. And there's multiple others, but outside of the larger ones, the small ones are amazing as well. They're all big. So everyone
All
has its
right.
own unique story.
So, and for the listeners, what is it that you want them to take away from this discussion today?
Yeah, I think it's easy. I mean, I started out getting into this industry knowing very little, and just being the young kid in a room with a bunch of much older and much more experienced people. And again, as long as you work hard and you learn and listen and be a sponge and learn through osmosis, and work late and work long hours and work smart and spend time with your peers, you can really do well. You can excel, especially coming out of school. There's a lot of young people that have complacent and honestly bad habits. If you really want to do well and you grind it out, you can do amazing, and you can excel in a very short amount of time.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's really interesting how we can just dovetail that right into the discussion on what's going on in office today,
sure.
because the kids today don't have what we had, right? Go ahead and
Yeah,
talk on that.
a lot of people are fighting against going back to the office. But what you're seeing, it's 6 years after COVID right now. I mean, that was a long time ago. And you're starting to see a lot of these larger companies mandate all their employees to come back to work, because they know that they're more productive when they're in the office. Things happen faster, a lot more collaboration happens. And we're seeing the smartest companies are upgrading their office space. Maybe they're taking a little bit less, but they're moving out of the old Class C or the cheap office building and moving into the brand new one with all the amenities. And they're really leveraging that. Obviously, they want to be nice to their employees, but it's to recruit the best talent, and it's to retain the best talent. Whether you're coming out of college or you're changing jobs in the middle of your career, you really have an option where to go. And and you're going to want to go to the company that has the better environment. You may not want to go to the old Class C building that has old HVAC systems and your office is in the broom closet. If you go to the new office that has the coffee shop and the fitness center and the conference room and the outdoor area and is close to other restaurants and there's every we have offices now in the suburbs that have pickleball courts. We have parking garages that have tennis courts on the top floor. Those are all things that people are attracted to. And again, if you wake up every day and you say, "Oh, I really want to go to that office or I want to go work at that campus," you're probably going to be in a lot better mental state, probably going to work harder. And what's that going to do for the company? Probably going to be more profitable for them.
So what
So
other kinds of amenities that you didn't mention yet are they doing nowadays, especially up there? It might be a little more
yeah,
convenient.
oh my gosh. There's so many different amenities. Obviously, health and wellness is huge. So fitness centers, we're doing, pulling dry cleaning into our buildings. So you come drop off, pick up your dry cleaning. Coffee shops are big, smoothie bars. We're activating some of our buildings to have maybe we have a group come in and teach yoga class for the day, or we have a cycling studio come in and do cycling classes one day. We have one suburban office park that has fishing ponds. We have bike trails. We have walking trails. We have outdoor conference centers. We have fire pits, outdoor barbecue areas. Again, pickleball and tennis courts on top of unused parking garages. Pickleball is a big one too. That's a huge amenity that we're seeing right now. Yeah.
Now,
So
are they indoor or are they outdoor?
both. Both.
Okay.
Yeah. So it just depends on the building.
I went to work for AECOM in Baltimore for a year, and it was during the winter. We had to play tennis inside.
Yeah. Well, it definitely gets cold here, and that's for sure. We had a harsh, brutal January, and we just had 4 inches of snow yesterday, and now it's melted and it's gonna be 60 degrees tomorrow. So yeah, it's a little ridiculous right now.
Well, so as far as the bargaining power of these companies that are moving from a class B or C to a class A, so they're paying more there, and
Sure.
there was a shortage of labor until AI started really hitting the scene. I don't know what you feel like that might do, but if you've got any headwinds
Yeah.
there.
I mean, really what we're seeing is, office rent is really such a small line item. So it's really not a big deal to most companies. It's usually fifth or sixth on their financial statements of costs. If you look at what's their highest expense, it's payroll and payroll related items. So what we're seeing is they're already paying one rent. So if they're going to take a little bit less space and they're going to go into a much better building and pay a higher rent, and in return for paying that higher rent, which still in aggregate is going to be less because they're taking less square footage, they're going to have better people. So again, the cost of retaining talent, because your most expensive line item is payroll related. So if you have less turnover, paying a little bit more in rent, just a couple percent more to eliminate or greatly reduce that turnover is actually a way to make money. So turning a what most people think of an expense into a profit center.
I know it's apples and oranges, but when you're talking about Class A office space rents in a primo location in
Sure.
Pittsburgh, what kind of dollars are you looking at roughly?
Yeah, right now in the downtown and especially the fringe market, so right on the border of downtown, we're in the high 30s to low 40s a square foot. And then in the suburbs, we're call it in the mid 20s. Yeah,
And
and
then,
starting to get into the low 30s actually.
and what kind of pass through?
Those are modified gross, so basically full service plus electric with a base here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Um, you have to work with snow, right? So how often are you all seeing that there's too much snow, nobody's coming to work? I mean, is that affecting anything at all?
No, not really. We only get
Okay.
a couple of those a year, and
Okay. And your
we're
Class
pretty
A
good.
office buildings, do they have parking garages then?
Some of them,
Not all
yeah,
though.
some of them have
Okay.
parking garages or nearby parking. Yeah,
I would have thought for Class A they'd have parking
yeah,
garages up
yeah.
there.
It depends. I mean, if it's Class A suburban, it's all outdoor surface parking. There's very few parking garages in the suburbs, and then in town in the fringe, there are parking garages, whether it's connected to the building or right next door. Yeah,
Gotcha.
but for the most part, we probably get 3 or 4 days a year that honestly, it's probably more so being that it's too cold rather than to leave than there being too much snow to get around. Yeah, because Pittsburgh's really equipped with snowplow and everything else. So, yeah,
Right. Yeah. All right. So we also need to talk about some of that Class C and any adaptive reuse. Are you seeing it
yeah,
much up there?
yeah. Some buildings are. I don't know the answer for, and I don't think a lot of people do. And I think they're going to be sitting empty and probably being auctioned off, and maybe someone will take the risk to do something with them. But some buildings that can be converted to another use, such as residential, are if the developer can get the numbers to work. A lot of buildings and older buildings, the floor plates are just too large, and it's just I don't want to say impossible, but cost prohibitive to convert. But if a building can, especially in town, be converted to office or apartment, I mean condominiums or apartments, they are. Um, but usually it's a private public partnership or some kind of subsidies in order to do that. So it's not the easiest thing to convert buildings into residential, but we are seeing some of it. And then there's some buildings that could be converted to data centers. Mostly of those are new ground up, but maybe a smaller type data center can be converted if the power is there. But here in Western PA, we're seeing a lot of demands for the larger data centers, and those are pretty much ground up, and they need a lot more acreage than what any single building would come with, and need to make sure that the power and water requirements are there as well.
Yeah, touch on that power information you shared with me before we
Yeah,
recorded. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the hubs, some of the hubs for data centers right now are obviously Northern Virginia and Columbus, Ohio, and those areas are it's really tough to get the power there anymore. They're about out of power. So they're working on getting more power there, but a lot of the demand has moved to Pennsylvania. So kind of right in between Northern Virginia, Ohio. We do have the power here. We have in Pittsburgh, fortunately, we have a lot of these old steel mills where there was power to a long time ago that are now brownfield sites, and some of those sites still have power to them. So that's fantastic. And a lot of those are along waterways because you obviously need water for data centers as well to help uh, cool what's happening in there. So we're poised really well for data center growth here in Western PA and in the entire state of PA. Also, whenever there's a lot of the power is coming off of the grid, well, there's only so much power on the grid, and the grid can only make so much power. So we have such large natural gas deposits here in Western PA, which we're now seeing being able to take that natural gas, convert it to electricity to power these data centers.
That's pretty exciting. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah,
lot
it's
happening.
incredible.
And I don't see AI slowing down.
Not at all. I think it's just getting started. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hopeful that they will be able to come up with a way to do the small nuclear packages that are not
Yeah, we'll
I'm
see.
doing
I
this,
mean,
but
nuclear
it's
power, that's a whole nother the small nuclear reactors, that's a whole nother conversation.
it
Yeah.
is. But
Pretty interesting.
for data centers, you got to have two or three different alternative supplies of
Sure.
not only telecom but power.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, yeah, it's going to be interesting where AI takes us, right? It's
Oh
solving
my
its own
gosh.
problems,
Yeah.
supposedly.
It seems like just yesterday we went from VHS to DVDs to Netflix. So who knows what's next?
Right. But we are like in a huge um wave of change
Sure.
with AI. and the economic conditions, the transfer of wealth, the greatest transfer of wealth of all time, all these things coming together. I
Sure.
I get excited for, the young people to try
Oh
to
yeah.
figure out what to do. And so go give your takeaway again. It's a perfect time.
The takeaway of advice,
Yep.
or I mean, again, my piece of advice, I mean, for again, the younger generation, sometimes business looks intimidating, but it's really not. I mean, as long as you work hard, you're nice, you get along with people, whenever you're nice, you're magnetic and people want to work with you. No one's ever gotten there on their own. There's always been a mentor or someone to help along the way. If you want a mentor, ask that person to be your mentor. It's important to ask them, not just assume that they're going to mentor you. Um, and you could do really well. Again, just show up every day, do the best you can, and you'll go far. You'll excel faster than you could ever imagine. But you have to be consistent with it and do it every day. Make your sacrifices when you're young. Whenever you're 21, 22 years old, stay late, work hard, and whenever you're 35, 36 years old, you'll be able to have a lot more fun, and do a lot more things. So yeah, whenever you have less responsibility, make your sacrifices then, and you'll enjoy it later.
Good advice. Good advice.
Yeah,
All right. Like I ask everybody towards the end, is there a
sure.
pivotal person or event that's brought you to where you are today or pushing you towards some goal?
Sure. Yeah, the list certainly goes on. I certainly didn't do it myself. I had so much help along the way. I mean, obviously, my parents are my biggest cheerleaders. And again, like I said in the beginning, seeing them getting up every day, working hard is like, that's what gave me the work ethic and the grit that I have. And then having the opportunity to really have Jim Scalo take me under his wing and work with him side by side, day by day for the past 10 years, earn his trust, respect, and invest in me while I invested my time and efforts in him and the organization has been incredible. I mean, we've gone places that I don't think anybody ever expected us to go in 2 or 3 years, let alone what we've done in the past 10 years. So, and right now we're at a point where we're just getting started and we're ready to launch again and we're on a big growth phase. And this company is going to look very different in the next 5 years, which is really exciting.
All right. That's
Yeah,
terrific. So you can tell him you nominated him or have us call and we'll tell him you nominated him. And if he comes on the show, he gets promoted and forever
I
known
love it.
as a pivotal person and lapel pin and
I'm sure he would be more than happy to talk. He loves his running joke is he's never met a mic that he doesn't like. So I think it would be a pretty easy ask to get him on, and yeah, it would be great. Yeah,
good, good. All right. Well then, so tell people how they can reach you. Remember, some people are only
yeah.
listening. They won't get to see anything. So spell your name too.
Sure, absolutely. Probably my shortest email is sdiggs, so SDIGS at naiburnscalo.com. My number will be, I'm sure, passed around, but I'm happy to share my cell phone number with you that you can post in the notes. We service real estate worldwide. We literally do deals all over the country, all over the world. We just finished a bunch of projects in Canada and working on some in France right now and across the United States. But Western PA and Florida is where I'm located. We do a lot of work in West Virginia and here locally as well. So happy to talk to anyone, whether that's for real estate needs or just any advice.
Great. Okay. Well,
Sure.
very good. We'll put that information in the show notes. And
Awesome.
I thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it as well.